and gentlemen, members and friends, Matt Bailey here, Zach Stanley here. We are here doing No Stupid Questions, episode 3. Episode 1 and 2 were with Adam, myself and Adam. Episode 3, special guest, Zach who is our manager of member services, who's going to look after half these questions with us. We're going to both answer your questions. The whole idea about
no stupid questions, Matt.
Yeah, no stupid questions. That's right. That's what I said.
Did I say something? You said no stupid hats.
No stupid hats is also one of the rules, but you do have a hat on.
But it's not stupid. It can't be stupid. No stupid hats.
Okay, no stupid hats then. Okay, good. I'm going to throw it up on the screen real quick so everyone can see what it is. Here it is. Here's No Stupid Questions. The whole idea is that we at the SMWS, the Scotch Malt Whisky Society, get to answer your questions on whisky, society, membership, anything whiskey related, really, or whiskey adjacent. We love answering all these questions. We're going to take them all on. We're recording this one. We're not doing a live stream. That way we can probably edit some bits and bobs and maybe, take we don't have time to take them live this time. So, but you know how to submit questions. The link is being posted to Discord, Facebook, all check your inboxes. We get to answer your questions. So shall we launch straight in? Zach, are you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm going to go from the beginning of when they're in the order that they were asked. How long can I keep a bottle of whiskey once it's been opened? Will it go bad?
Good question.
That's a good question. That's a good question. There's no stupid question. That's actually a good one. Do you want to take a look?
Yeah. First of all, it will go bad. That's in a sense, it will start to degrade over time. So, as with anything, if you leave a bottle of anything open for long enough, it's going to start breaking down. But whiskey is much more stable than something like, say, red wine. So it'll take a year, 2 years, 3 years before you start to see some really negative effects taking place. But at the same time, that oxygen, which breaks down the whiskey, is also changing it slightly over time. So you'll notice that the whiskey starts tasting different before it starts tasting bad. It's an interesting journey to go on.
I'll go one further, just on my response to that, is that it's not always this case, but I always find that an open bottle of a sherried whiskey can often improve over the few weeks after it's been opened. Like if you've got a heavily sherried whiskey, something from our dried fruits and spices profile sort of thing that is, have you just opened up, maybe have 1 or 2 drams off the top of it, but then seal it back up and put it aside for 2 to 4 weeks and come back to it. And I actually find it usually settles down and a little bit. The oxidation improves that whiskey sometimes. By the way, how long can you keep a bottle once it's been sealed is another side of things. Whiskey changes even sealed. Sealed wine changes. So does whiskey. It just changes at a much slower rate and for much different reasons. But that wasn't the question. But still, it's interesting. Okay, that was the first question. Shall we move on to number 2? Which reviewers should I pay attention to in the whiskey sphere and on? And now we didn't see who asked this one, but I'm going to start off by saying the none. There we go. No. I was actually having a chat with Brooke Heyman from Whiskey and Ailment just yesterday, literally about this topic, surprisingly. And she was asking, about which Instagrammers or which, accounts and which things to follow in terms of the whiskey sphere. And I sort of said, I dislike most of them because I find that most of them do reviews. And I don't really care for whiskey reviews too much myself. Because if I don't have the whiskey in front of me or I can't easily get it or it's not something I'm interested in buying, then I'm not going to watch it. And it's also individual reviewers are always their palate and your palate's different and your experience is different. So someone gives I used to hear, you don't hear it so much anymore, but I used to have some whiskey friends who would say things like, oh, well, so-and-so, I won't say who, but, this particular French reviewer who lives in a castle in France said that this whiskey is an 87.26 as a score. I was like, it doesn't mean anything to me. Those numbers don't really mean anything to me. Anyway, Zach, which reviewers should you pay attention to in the whiskey sphere? You've probably got something that you quite like.
I'm a little softer on it than you. I would say if you find a reviewer who matches your palate, then you should pay attention to them. So, for instance, Tim Grant of
Peated Perfection, yes.
Peated Perfection, that's the one.
Big shout out to Tim.
His reviews often match what I think of whiskeys. So if he finds one that I haven't had yet, and I'm interested in trying it, then I'm happy to take his recommendation for or against. If you find that your palate matches Ralphie's, then perhaps you can find some hidden gems in the hundreds and hundreds of videos that he's put out.
Maybe even thousands now. I don't know. He's done a lot of videos.
Yeah.
Ralphie's good. Tim's great. Sturge is good.
But because it's such a personal thing, you have to find somebody that matches your palate first and not just go on reputation.
Okay, I get that. How much of that do you think is confirmation bias? Like how much do you think, like, oh, that person's palate is similar to mine, so therefore, I don't know. I find that means you end up challenging yourself less. I don't know. Like you'll avoid certain distilleries or certain styles because, I don't know.
I mean, I've never not bought a whiskey because of a review.
Haven't you? I reckon I definitely have. I reckon I've read poor reviews before or something that's. There's one particular whiskey blog, and I think it's Dramface, or I think it's Dramface, and Dramface gave some whiskey that I was interested in. I looked up the whiskey, and it wasn't cheap. So I was sort of like, well, I want to read a little bit about it before I committed. And it was sort of like I saw some review where it was like a 4 out of 10, and I remember thinking, oh, maybe I'll just give that one a miss. I don't know. I think it. I don't know.
That would interest me more, kind of like.
Now I have to get it.
How did it score so badly?
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Okay, great question. Let's go to the next one. What role does the independent bottler play in today's day and age? From Sarah Kovacs. You know what? That's a really good question. Because what role it played when indie bottlers were first sort of coming to the fore versus now is very different, I think. Zach, I'll start us off if that's okay, especially because you've just
go for it.
Right, yeah, you're still there. In the early days of SMWS and other indie bottlers like G&M or Signatory and etc., that they were there to shine a light on distilleries that often didn't have a single malt, and so these were distilleries like I tell people at tastings that Distillery 30 for us, which is Glenrothes, or Distillery 61, which is Brora. I know of those two. There might be others, but we bottled them as single malts before those distilleries did, which is a cool little stat to think that like Glenrothes didn't exist as a single malt of their own range before indie bottlers ever did it. So it's kind of like that. Therefore, a lot of distilleries got their start because of indie bottlers shining a light on these distilleries and how unique they are. I think their role today of an indie bottler is a bit different, and it gives you a nice alternative of outside of house style and flavor adventure that they don't provide anymore. Yeah.
I think there's an easier route to market for distilleries now than when that era that you were talking about, where independent bottlers were bringing them to market a single malt, and nobody else was. I've just gone to grab this book, which I read earlier this year.
Let me just hide the screen here and expand yours a bit.
It gives a really great look at the history of independent bottling, but also the current stage of it as well.
I know Dave. I know David quite well. David's an old friend, and he used to run Creative Malts Company, and he used to Creative Whiskey Company. Sorry, Creative CWC. He doesn't run that anymore, but it was if anyone's an authority on indie bottlings, David's very much up there.
Yeah, it was an interesting read. So Sarah, if you want to borrow that, let me know.
Yeah, sure. I hope she's watching. I think that's a good question. That was a really good question. So what role does an independent bottler play in today's day and age? Yeah, I think just to lean back into what it plays today. I mean, the role of an indie bottler today is really quite important still. I think the role's changed, but I think it's still really important in showing how an indie bottler can, like I say, shine a light on outside of house style or a direction for a spirit that maybe hadn't been considered before. I would say I've said at some of my tastings before that I love it when we see, say, like an unsherried expression from a distillery that typically only does sherried whiskey, like a distillery 1 or a distillery 54 or something, where it's like, yeah, everything they release is sherried, generally speaking, or distillery 96. And then you get an unsherried, like a first fill bourbon barrel or a refill bourbon barrel or something. And that's like, I really love those examples. And same for peating levels. Like, it's like, you know, like a whiskey that's typically peated or might never ever come out as peated. We had a peated 35 a little while ago, and it's like that distillery doesn't do very much peated run. They do like, I think it's 2 weeks a year of peated spirit. So, you know, things like that. I was like shining a light on the unusual spirit from distilleries.
Even outside of that, bringing new styles to the market, I think we still see distilleries that don't release their own single malt, like the blending workhorse distilleries that just don't put stuff out.
That's a good call. Like,
that we get to
all
see
those
in
distilleries
better bottlers as well.
Yeah, all those distilleries that exist for the purpose of your Shivers Regals and Johnny Walkers of the world. I mean, tasting them as often young or long-aged single malts is so fantastic.
Yeah, Milton Duff is one that you see a lot of in independent bottling and not by itself.
Same for I'd say the same about, like, I mean, you could say the same about Chininik, or you could say the same about even Linkwood.
They do have their own releases though, so it's a little less.
They're infrequent. They're at the very least infrequent, and most whiskey buyers wouldn't be able to easily find them and without properly hunting them down.
Yeah.
Great question. Great question.
Yeah, democratization of access to single malt.
I think you're wearing the right hat today for that statement. That was good. Fighting for the democratization. Yep, good. What society whiskey have you tasted recently that left a lasting impression? That was asked anonymously. That's a really sort of topical, sort of like as in like current question. I like that one as well. Zach, you take the lead on that. What's something that you've tasted? What society whiskey have you tasted recently that you went, you know what, that's. I remember which one it was for you actually, but you might have a different one.
Yeah, actually, no, yeah, that the 3 in the
Creators Collection.
in the peak plants,
Ethereal Drift, a 21-year-old.
That's the one.
Distillery 3. That was
Expedega PX cask. That blew me away.
Was there something from Flavor Profile launch the other day Saturday that you sort of went, that's really, really good? That's something you sort of went.
Yeah, actually, it was it's not very helpful for this question, but it was the 41.
Oh, I'm literally drowning on it right now. Oh,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you must have liked it as well.
I did actually. It was actually my favorite for the day.
It's unreleased, so it's not helpful for our members, is it?
No, it's not helpful.
But it'll be around the corner, I'm sure.
It was just about what have you tasted recently. That 11 from the Flavor Profile launch really left a lasting impression on me. That was all like chlorine pools and
yeah, I like that one as well.
And salt in a glass. It was lovely. Yeah,
I think the new Flavor Profiles as a whole have been
really strong. Good
to see, and sort of fitting with the profiles as well. So it's really good to see. Yeah,
fantastic. I'll just do a special shout out as well. I mean, I honestly think that our Heresy range are getting stronger and stronger. I think that the quality of the complexity and interesting spirit that we're bottling, like Smoldering Mojo and Scrumptious and things like that, have been really good. And I think they're just getting consistently better, because I think as a blending team in the UK, they're getting better at doing it. And so it's like we're seeing the results of that now, which is great. Okay, there's a few more questions to jump through here, so let's press on. Next one up in the lineup was James Danielson asking, of the distilleries that SMWS don't get to bottle regularly, which one would you most like to see and why? Ooh, there's quite a few codes in our system that are either, demolished, which you could include in that because it doesn't say operating distilleries, it just says distilleries. That it might be closed, demolished, or we just don't have much access to, or even indie bottlers in general don't have much access to. It's not just, it could be now or never, or just it could be soon, But Zach, you got to start us off on that one.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the number. But,
you could probably get away with saying the distillery name.
Yeah, I just want to see some Kilhoman come through.
I knew it. I was waiting for that. Yeah, I think I'd love that as too. That did have a code 127. No, 129. 129. I think was the code for Killen. We should be able to see some 129s again. That'll be nice. So
I don't think it's outside of the question. Certainly.
I can't remember. I think it's code 15 for us. I think it's code 15. Oh, now that was a crafty hat change. I told you, 1 second. For those who are watching and not just listening, he just changed his hat from Royal Insignia to Kilhoman hat. And by the way, is that in like Sinead colors? That hat?
It's blue. I think it's just the camera.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, there we go. Very, very well done. Very well done. I think for me it'd be code like 14 or 15. I can't remember. It's whatever. I'd love to see like a Glenfiddich come through or something again. I don't know, like or even a Talisker. I mean,
Talisker would be good.
Talisker would be great. Just to see. Yeah, I mean, there have been some indie Taliskers in the past from other bottlers, and we've bottled some as well. It's just that it's one of those spirits that you just don't see much around of. And I'll be honest, the last indie Talisker I had was not very good. So I think there's sort of there's maybe something that's released that might be not just surplus.
I guess they've sort of been the niche that independent bottler would be filling for Talisker is sort of filled by themselves, doing the car strength releases each year.
Yeah,
those ones, the
8-year-old, the 10-year-old, and stuff like that.
Yeah,
they were good as well.
I think those are really good.
Yeah, there was an 8-year-old a couple of years ago that was phenomenal. Still would love to see.
It'd be good to see some society ones.
Yeah, that'd be great. I think that's really for me would be the top picks would be the ones that we don't see the most of. And everyone, people are probably going to say, "Where's the 111?" You know, those kind of things. It's like, yeah, cool. I'd love to see some 111 through again sometime, but never say never. But you know how it goes. Yeah, I mean, I don't think really it's. I think I'll stick with those ones. Those would be good. So we've got Glenfiddich and Kilhoman as your answer for that one, James. Thank you so much for that question. No stupid questions. You're tuned to No Stupid Questions, by the way, for those who have just tuned in. Really appreciate you all jumping in. There we are. There's our big silly logo for this series that we publish. And
there really haven't been any stupid questions so far.
No, there haven't yet. No, we've got 1 or 2 more still to go. So we'll see. We might get a really stupid one. Okay. We're going to go to. It's a big one from Mark Dodds. Mark, thank you for the question. Who determines when a distillery gets more than one code? How come distilleries 10 and 11, for example, release such a diverse range of spirit under one code, whereas distilleries 27, 114, 126, and 112, 122, 135 all have been given separate codes? A very good question. Now, I actually sort of asked Kai, our spirits director, this question a few years ago. So I can sort of reiterate his response, which was, you've sort of identified earlier codes versus later codes in that very question, which is sort of the answer to your own question, in that we didn't get it always right in the early days. So when we were, setting up in the 80s, we never thought we'd need separate codes for different things. And that's sort of more like if it's different distillation styles or different stills, especially, then maybe they should have separate codes rather than peated or unpeated. I mean, a good example is when you taste unpeated versus peated distillery 10, for instance, from Isla, they're both off the same stills. They're both in the same distillery of the same stills. However, 122, 112, and 135 are all very different configurations of different stills. So maybe they should have separate codes. Kai did say that if he could go back in time and change it, he'd probably split the codes out a bit further than they did. Sort of thing, like it'd be like there'd be a 10 and then there'd be 11 for peated 10 or something like that, and then everything would be pushed forward. That's really the answer. Is it usually now applies to if it's a different still. So we've got a new code coming through 164 or 165, I can't remember, which is the other site of an existing code we have, which is kind of exciting. So it's a new code, but it's from the same distillery name. Anything you want to add, Zach? I mean, that's sort of just like the logical answer to that one. Yeah. I mean, I don't think a code should be different if it's peated or unpeated, for instance, because that's kind of like you don't need different codes for You just need different cask IDs. 10.200 can be peated, 10.201 can be unpeated, sort of thing. It's like different single casks from that distillery. But especially in the case of 112, 122, 135, they should be separate codes, and very rightly so. And there's also 2 more in that lineup. There's G9 and G15 as well. I hope this is still recording okay because I'm lagging a bit. I don't know if it's just my camera or if it's the stream.
It's fine from my side.
Okay, that's good. Thanks for the question, Mark. That's a fantastic question. Again, we've had no stupid questions so far.
Yeah.
Looks like there's one more coming through, which is literally says, one for Zach. What has been a whiskey highlight for you since joining the SMWS team? Says David S.
How did they know I was going to be on it?
I don't know. Maybe they just hoped you would be. Thanks, David, for guessing that Zach would be on. Maybe he thought if it was me and Adam, we'd just bring this question to you and you could answer it in the next stream, maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe this was the prompt to get you on. There you go.
There you go, David. Well, thanks for asking. There's been so many whiskey highlights since joining the SMWS team almost a year ago now. I think it's been great to get out to different states and meet more members. That's been a real highlight. So traveled to Sydney and Launceston, and we'd love to get down to Adelaide, up to Queensland, out to Perth and see everybody. Yeah, I think that's what I've enjoyed most.
Yeah. Fantastic. I'm not going to answer that because that was a question purely for Zach. It even starts with one for Zach. You know what? That's all the questions submitted. That was all sort of like 6, 7, 8 questions, whatever it was, submitted this week for No Stupid Questions. We'll of course be back again for another episode of this. Episode 4 will be screening in a few weeks' time. We always love doing this. It's last drops at the moment online. It's kicked off with a bang today. It's been really popular, which has been great to see. Lots of vaults collections going out the door. Lots of last drops literally being depleted. And so it's running for another 6 days. It's from 23rd till the 30th. So it's 45 different bottlings. By the time we get to the end of the 30th, it'll probably be far, far less than that, we hope. I mean, they're clearing out fast. But jump online, smws.com.au/shop. And I really appreciate you all tuning in and joining us for No Stupid Questions.
Yeah, see if we can get some stupider questions next time.
Yeah, I mean, episode 1 we had some very, very stupid questions, but we answered all of them. We got 1 or 2 stupid ones in episode 2. These ones are all really good questions.
Yeah.
I think my favorite question was about what the role of an independent bottler is. That's a good question. Thank you, Sarah Kovacs, for that question. It's very good. You've been tuned to No Stupid Questions. Zach Stanley, Matt Bailey, thank you so much for coming along, and we'll see you all soon.
Signing off.
Signing off.